Katie and Sloan are planning to spend a month working at an organic farm called Eco Field so they can save up enough money for a shopping trip to New York City, and the morning they leave Katie's uncle Jason picks them up and drives them to stay at his place for a night before heading out, and while they are settling in Sloan suggests they use fake names during their stay just for fun, and she picks Heather and Katie picks Ripley. The next morning Jason drops them at the bus station and before he drives away he sets up a daily check-in system with Katie, telling her to send him a text every day with a code word at the end working through the alphabet in order, and today's word is apple, and Jason leaves and the two of them go to the nearby cafe to wait because the bus is still an hour away. Two men from the town approach them and the four of them end up sharing a table, and Katie and Sloan use their fake names. And the men introduce themselves as brothers named Jed and Lucas, and when the brothers offer to drive them to the farm Sloan pushes for it and Katie gives in, and they climb into the blue truck. The truck drives past the farm without slowing down and keeps going, and the women look at each other, and eventually they arrive at a house that belongs to Jed and Lucas's mother, a woman who greets them with a wide smile and invites them inside for tea and pie before heading to the farm, and it seems rude to refuse so they sit down. And while they are eating Katie gets a text from Jason and sends back the code word apple to let him know she is fine, and the tea and the pie are good and the mother is warm and friendly and everything seems alright, and then the room starts to tilt. The drinks were drugged and both of them feel it at the same moment and try to get up and get out but Jed and Lucas are right there and knock them unconscious, and when Katie and Sloan open their eyes again they are chained up in the middle of the woods with nothing around them for as far as they can see, attached to containers. Jed comes over and tells them simply and without any particular emotion that this is where they live now, some clothes and a place to sleep and a basic toilet, and then a man named Boris arrives and he is clearly the one in charge of the whole operation, and he takes Katie's phone and goes through every message and every contact carefully, and he realizes the names they gave the brothers were fake, and he sees that the code word in Katie's last text to Jason was the same one she used the day before, and he presses them until they break and tell him that apple was a safety signal, and Boris absorbs all of this and moves on. Not long after, while Katie and Sloan are using makeshift outdoor showers, the town sheriff pulls up, and he gets out of his car with his hand on his weapon and he is not there to help them. And what he does to Katie is something the film handles with the weight it deserves, and across town Jason notices that the latest text from Katie uses the same code word as the day before and the unease that has been sitting in him since they left becomes something sharper. Business continues at the makeshift camp in the woods and a rough and unpredictable man arrives, someone who looks like he has been living hard for a long time, and Jed and Lucas bring him in and he picks Sloan and takes her into the trailer, and when she comes back out afterward she is shaken in a way that is hard to watch but Katie is right there waiting for her. Jason calls the farm to check on them and the person who answers tells him the women never showed up for work. Jason takes his car keys, and he heads to the sheriff's office and tells the sheriff everything, that his niece and her friend are missing, that the repeated code word tells him they are in trouble, and he explains the entire safety system to the sheriff in detail. And the sheriff listens carefully to every word and says all the right things, and the moment Jason is gone the sheriff makes a call. The kidnappers are told almost immediately that Katie's uncle is FBI and that the code word was a warning signal all along, and Boris tells Jed to kill them both and get rid of the bodies, and Katie is close enough to the conversation to hear all of it, and she says nothing and files it away. Things in the woods get darker before they get better, because the next customer who arrives is even more disturbing than the last, and he wears a pig mask and nobody in the camp challenges him or looks him in the eye, and he picks Sloan and takes her into the trailer, and when she comes back she is the most traumatized she has been through any of this, and Katie holds her and does not ask questions. Jason visits the cafe where he last left the women and describes them to the barista and asks if anyone remembers seeing them that day, and the barista remembers everything clearly, the two men, the blue truck, exactly what it looked like. The next morning Katie tells Sloan quietly that she heard Boris give the order to kill them and they need to move now, and when the kidnappers arrive that day they bring the rough man from before along and leave him behind to watch the women while they go handle other things, and Katie watches him and reads him and when the moment is right she uses everything she has to get close to him, and when she is close enough she uses her teeth to tear his throat open, and the two of them pull themselves free from the chains and start moving. The sheriff arrives at the site not long after, presumably to confirm the order has been carried out, but Katie and Sloan takes his vehicle and drive away. They drive straight into town and go to the hardware store and take what they need to arm themselves properly, and they ask the cashier behind the counter whether he knows a man named Boris who drives a blue truck, and the cashier knows exactly who that is and tells them where he lives, and they thank him and go. Across town Jason is at the local car insurance office making up a story about a minor collision with a blue truck, trying to get the registered owner's address, and while he is working through that, Katie and Sloan are already at Boris's property waiting for him, and when he pulls up they are ready. And they come at him with tennis balls spiked through with nails, and hit him repeatedly until he is badly injured and on the ground begging, and the tables have turned so completely that Boris starts offering them money, anything they want, just spare his life, and right then Jason's car pulls up at the end of the driveway. Inside the house with Boris still alive and bleeding, Katie and Sloan ask him one question: who is the man in the pig mask? And Boris refuses to answer, and they take a makeshift spear they assembled at the hardware store and use it on him in a way that leaves no room for further refusal and eventually kills him, and Jason comes through the front door just as they slip out the back. And he walks into the room and finds Boris dying on the floor and hears engines outside and runs out, but they are already gone. The sheriff tells Jason that Boris is dead and Jason reaches for his phone to try Katie's number, and the sheriff realizes in that moment that his position is completely exposed and pulls his weapon on Jason and takes him captive. Katie and Sloan have figured out who the pig mask belongs to, and he is the town priest, and Sloan walks into the church alone and comes face to face with the man who did what he did to her, and with Katie right behind her, the two of them take him down together and drag him outside, and they drive away afterward looking almost peaceful, and then they pull over at some point and get out of the car. And the priest is chained to the back bumper and has been the entire time without either of them mentioning it, and they pour gasoline over him and light it and get back in and drive. They find out about Jason being taken and come back for him, and when they arrive the sheriff has already brought two new young women in for business, and Katie and Sloan do not hesitate. They knock the sheriff out and tie him to a chair, and what follows is not quick because they do not want it to be quick, and they stand over him with a loaded gun being passed between them in a game of Russian roulette. And the sheriff starts telling them he is sorry and keeps saying it in every way he can think of until Katie ends the conversation with a single hard blow to the head, and then they free the two new women and tell them to go and release Jason, and when Jason asks the freed women who killed the sheriff they say nothing, because the people who saved their lives asked them not to. Then we see the mother standing having her drink, and she has no idea that Katie and Sloan mixed something into it, and she drinks it and loses consciousness, and once she is under they tie her up and bring her down to the basement where Jed is already restrained and gagged and waiting, and Katie and Sloan stand over him with baseball bats and make the mother watch every single second of what comes next. And when Jed is gone they bring the mother to the room where Lucas is tied to a chair, and, instead of doing to him what they did to his brother they cut him loose and put a bat in his hands and tell him that if he does not beat his own mother they will shoot him, and Lucas stands there holding the bat and looks at his mother and cannot make himself do it, and they shoot him. And they arrange his body carefully and deliberately to look like a suicide and set up the rest of the scene so that when investigators come through every single killing in that house traces back to him. The mother is the last one there alone with nothing and no one left, and she offers them everything she has to spare her life, and Katie goes to the garage and starts the lawn mower and brutally murders her with it. Some time later Jason pulls up at Katie's house on a quiet ordinary morning and picks them both up for airport, and they walk through the terminal on their way to New York City. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video like this.